Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the new Monitorum Field Manual with all the points changes for 40k and having a look at the balanced data slate. You can download both of these as PDFs on the Warhammer community site. I'll put a link to that article down below, and there's a load of information to go through. They had a 40-minute video talking about all the changes and some really exciting changes for 40k, which I think are really going to add to the fun of the game. So in this video, I'll do my best to do an overall summary and pick out some of the highlights of all these changes so far. The info we'll go through is building on what we've seen so far from this mission pack, Arcs of Omen Grand Tournament, with some great changes to how we can put together our different detachments. And then on top of that, we got the new board in action rules, which I think are going to add a really fun new way to play the game. And they've got some detachment rules as well. The board and party detachment is slightly different, so we've seen some examples. I'll link to previous videos at the end of this one. There's going to be some great opportunities in this next season to put together some really fun army lists, and I think with the points changes, if you play Space Marines, you're going to be very happy. So let's get started and we'll start breaking down these two PDFs. So there's two PDFs, the Monitorum Field Manual and then also the Balanced Data Slate. So let's look at the Data Slate first, and we'll do a quick overview before diving in and looking at that PDF. There's only 4 pages to look at for the Balanced Data Slate, while the Monitorum Field Manual has got over 50 pages of points updates, which are insane. So let's get started with the Data Slate first. So in this balanced data sheet, we're going to see some massive changes. The first one is that Armour of Contempt has been removed. Now, the idea of Armour of Contempt was to keep models in play longer, hold those objectives for longer, and absorb some high power attacks. So while before you could worsen the AP characteristic of incoming attacks, now you're not going to be able to do that anymore. This is going to be so interesting to try out and see how it works, especially when you play Space Marines against Space Marines, or you're going up against the Astra Militarum, or even Adeptus Sororitas. You know, that's going to be quite a difference now. So I'm really looking forward to getting some games in and seeing how it works without Armour of Contempt anymore. Now, specifically for the Space Marines, there's some brilliant changes, and the first are the combat doctrines. So now what you can do is you can choose to move from a combat doctrine or stay in the one you're in. So for example, if you wanted to stay in the Devastator doctrine from round 1 onwards, you can do that. This is going to be brilliant for the Imperial Fists. I can't wait to play them. I'm just going to stay in Devastator doctrine the whole time. This is going to be awesome. The Space Marines are also getting sticky objectives. So now you can claim an objective and then start moving away from it. And you keep hold of that objective until your enemy comes and takes it back. This is so cool. I really like that they've done this. It certainly fits in with the idea that the Space Marines are an elite force, and so you don't have to just camp out on that back objective now. You can claim it right away in your command phase and then get moving around the board, and so many more tactical options. So I think this is one of my favourite changes, alongside the Devastator doctrine being able to stay in play. Chaos Demons are getting some changes, and specifically with their Flamers unit. So this isn't Flamers all across the board, just the Flamers unit. Now, those Flamers aren't automatically going to hit. There's quite a few changes to the Harlequins, but the biggest of them is that they haven't really changed their points values much, but they have worsened the invulnerable saves. There's quite a lot going on with the Tyranids, as you'll see when we look at the points, but overall it seems that they're aiming to encourage swarm armies, which I think is brilliant. I really like that about Tyranids. Going up against the elite Tyranids army doesn't feel like Tyranids much to me. I like the swarms, and so that's going to be fun to see more of that on the table. One change they've highlighted for the Chaos Space Marines is specifically for the creations of Bile sub-faction. Now any slain units will have to roll a 4 or more in order to fight before they are removed in the fight phase. Not a huge amount of changes for the Adeptus Custodes, but Adeptus Custodes troop units have now been extended to all core infantry units where objective secured is concerned. There's some small changes for the Necrons, and this is all to do with the dynastic code created with Eternal Conquerors. And the Adeptus Mechanicus has seen a lot of changes. So when you see the points in a minute, you're just going to be blown away. It's crazy. The amount of changes to the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Space Marines is just so good. It's a very quick overview of some of the main changes in the balance data sheet, but if you want to click and have a look at that, you can just download it for free on that Warhammer community article, and then it's a 4-page PDF that breaks down all the different changes for the factions that they have changed, because some of them haven't got any changes. So if yours is on there, you can have a good look, but you can see with the Tyranids and the Necrons, there's some quite big chunks there to have a read through. Now it's time to have a look at the Munitorum Field Manual. Again, download it for free as a PDF on that article, linked down below. And so any changes will be written in red, and there's a lot of red on here. So let's get started. We got the Space Marines, and check this page out. Points changes across the board. It's completely changed the whole Space Marine setup now. And one thing you're going to notice as I start picking out some of the highlights is that the unit value has changed, or maybe it hasn't, but you'll see a lot of them where the weapons are now included in that unit cost. So you're not going to have to pay extra for lots of different weapons. And the first example of this is the Terminator squad here. So here we can see the points value is now 33 points per model. It used to be 38, but now you don't have to pay extra for the assault cannon, which was plus 10 points, the Cyclone missile launcher, which was 25 points, or the heavy flamer. That's crazy. That's all included now in this 33 points per model. And just above that is the Terminator Assault Squad. The points have stayed the same, 33 points a model, but you're not going to have to pay for Thunderhammers anymore. So that's going to save you 10 points each. So if you wanted 5 Thunderhammers, they're pretty much included. They're going to be free now. So if you're saving, say, in a 5-man squad, 50 points, that's going to allow you to bring in some other models, maybe an extra Terminator even, or just put it into something else. And once you start adding that up across all the different units, it's amazing the difference it's going to make. We're literally going to be able to bring a whole new unit into a 1,000 points army for sure. And these changes are just going to keep going. 35 points now for the Outriders instead of 45. So straight up, there's 30 points saved. I'm really happy with the change to the Gladiator Lancer. Now 125 points. Again, all the weapon extras are going to be included now. So when you're looking at the different war gear available, that's just bundled in with that 125 points. This is fantastic. I was playing it before. It was 150 for the Lancer, plus 5 for the Heavy Stubber, plus 5 for rocket pods. But now all of that is going to be down to 125, which is just brilliant and makes it more playable, because I was putting Hellblasters in place of that, whereas now I think we can do both. And speaking of Hellblasters, they've been reduced to 30 points each, and we won't have to pay 5 for the plasma pistol either. So rather than having, 175 points for this unit, they're going to be 150 now. So a very nice saving. One thing you'll see across many of the different factions are the changes to vehicles. Look at the Annihilators. The points are better now. Now you can get all those extras for free. The las cannon's only going to be 10 points, and so you can add on the bolters and everything. They're not going to cost you any extra, and the repulsors as well. So we're seeing all these vehicles now really buffed up, which I think is fantastic. Check out this change to the Hammer 4 bunker. That used to be 175 points. Now it's 100, and that includes everything. So that might be playable now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Now we're going to see lots of changes within the different chapters as well. This is brilliant. If you want to play shooting armies, you're going to love the points changes here. For the Imperial Fist, really happy that Tor Garadon's been reduced to 120, 145, which is too much, I felt. And then for the Ultramarines, lots of changes, and a couple for some of the other chapters, as you can see here, but nothing that really stands out. Space Wolves, on the other hand, are getting everything changed. Look at these points. Pretty much everything's worth highlighting. As a Space Wolves player, I think this is going to be a great year to play them. It's going to be really fun to put the changes we've already seen with the different detachment rules. We can get loads of dreadnoughts going on, but with the changes to the points, this is just brilliant. There's a massive change to Bjorn. He's come down from 175 to 155, but no extra for the weapons now. So you don't have to pay 20 for that las cannon, that twin las cannon, which is just a brilliant change. So I'm saving 40 points just on my HQ there. The Grey Hunters, this is quite interesting, 18 points. You're still going to have to pay for a Thunderhammer, but everything else is going to be free. So if you want to start putting those power fists in there, axes, lightning claws, bolters, they're all going to be included. They're not going to cost you anything extra now. So another really good change. Murderfang, he's been reduced by 10 points, love that. And then you've got the Wolfguard Terminators, some very nice changes. They've gone up, they're 34 points a model instead of 33, but you don't have to pay for the Assault Cannon, Heavy Flamer, Cyclone Missile Launcher, Chain Fist, Power Fist, all that Thunderhammer. So a really nice addition. It looks like the Wolf and Dreadnought, no change on points, but he is going to get that Heavy Flamer and the Blizzard Shield for free now. So that's very good. That's 10 points saved there. Longfangs have got an interesting change. They've gone up from 18 points each to 23. Multi-melt has been halved from 20 to 10, but everything else is going to be included. So you can go to town now with your Cyclone Missile Launcher. You can throw in all those heavy weapons and it's not going to cost you any extra points. Now bear in mind, if you put in a Wolfguard Terminator pack leader there, he's only gone up by a point to 34, but he doesn't have to pay that 25 points for that Cyclone Missile Launcher. So that's a huge saving. And finally, what a change to the Stormfang gunship and the Stormwolf, now just capped at 225. You're not going to have to pay 10 for the las cannon, 25 for a melter array. And bear in mind, you'd have 2 of those. And the twin heavy bolters as well, that would be 20. That doesn't happen now. That's crazy. That's a massive, massive saving for what I think is a really good unit to take. You put it full of like blood claws and then unleash those on the enemy. What a great tactic. And now it's very viable points-wise. Alright, I've focused on the ones that I play the most, but we've got to get going, I think, to summarise the rest of it, because there's quite a lot to go through here. We've got the Grey Knights, lots of changes across the board. Adeptus, Sororitas, now they haven't had many points changes, but of course, taking away Armour of Contempt is going to affect those, I think. Nothing really jumping out for the Adeptus Custodes, and with a few changes for the Officio Assassinorum. Nothing brilliant there. Then the Astra Militarum, nothing's changed, so that's really good. I think with the Codex just coming out, I'm really happy that they haven't messed around with this, because you don't want that to happen the same as it did before with the Votan. So yeah, this is really good. That's stayed. Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, this is going to be another one where there's changes across the board for all the points for the units. I'm not too familiar with these, not something I'm really interested in as an army to play, but if you play them, this is really good news for you. I think you've got lots to look through there and some big changes to the army overall. Nothing going on for the Imperial Knights or the Inquisition, and then you've got the Chaos Space Marines with a few tweaks here and there. You can see a couple of the units. Abaddon's certainly been changed, now 350 points. Heavy support vehicles like we saw with the Space Marines getting lots of buffs, and you can see those same vehicle buffs with the Death Guard too. Thousand Suns, quite interesting, not too many changes here. The Terminators though, they've still got to pay something for those different weapons, and the Hellbrute, that's got some changes with the twin las cannon, so that's a nice reduction. You've got some Chaos Spawn there, those points have changed. Again, the vehicles, this is where you're going to get some benefit, but overall, not much going on for the Thousand Suns, which I've got to say I'm happy about. World Eaters aren't getting any changes, but there are a few to the Chaos Demons, so worth having a look through there. Khorne and Tzeentch getting changes, Nurgle and Slaanesh too, so have a look at those. And then you've got the Chaos Knights, that's pretty much the same, nothing going on. And then Asuryani and Andrath, that's got a few changes, quite a few for some of your elites, but otherwise not too much going on. Harlequins haven't seen a lot in the points department changing, same for Drakari. And then as we look at the elite units, yeah, you can see nothing's really changing there. Beastmaster's got a points change, but otherwise that's it. Leagues of Votan have got a few changes for quite a new army. That's quite a lot of changes. So it'd be interesting to hear from any Leagues of Votan players to see what you think and how that's going to affect the gameplay. Not an awful lot going on for this section of the Necrons. Necron Warriors and Deathmarks getting changes, but when you start looking at the fast attack and then the heavy support and Lords of War, quite a few changes with points there. So if you're a Necron player, I think you might be happy with some of those. Maybe not though. Pretty quiet for the Orcs. They didn't even really get a mention except for the boys and the knobs, so no changes to worry about there. Killer Cans did well, though. They're my favourite units, I think, from there. I think they look brilliant. They're going to be 30 points, and the rocket launchers also reduced, and a few points shaved off the Gorkanaut too. You'll see a few changes to some of the HQ troops and elites for the Tau, but when you start going into the heavy support and the fast attacks, there's no changes there. Now, Tyranids is another one of the armies picked with so many changes to the points. If you play Tyranids, you've got a lot to read through. I think this is really going to affect how you start playing the game, and again, pushing you towards putting together those swarm lists. I think the Gene Stealer cults have done alright here as well, so some nice changes points-wise across some of the units, looking at elites and the Atalan Jackals in particular. And then we're on to fortifications here that are unaligned, no changes. And now we're going to look at Forge World points values, where we're not seeing anything at all for all the different armies. So these are all pretty much the same as we work through them all. So no changes there. Let's make sure though, as we keep checking each page, and good job we made sure of that, because the Chaos Demons, pretty much every unit has changed except for the Mammon Transfigured. Then again, no changes until we get to Drakari. You've got some changes for the Reaper and Tantalus, and then nothing else as we work right through to the final page, which is miscellaneous, where there's no changes at all. And there we go then, that's the new balanced data slate and the new Monitorum field manual, and a kind of overview of the changes with some highlights picked out. If you're still watching this, thanks for still being here. Really cool to share these changes with you. I think they're fantastic. I'd love to hear what you think though, so let me know in the comments section down below. Has your army been affected for the good or for the worst? Let me know. I'd love to hear how it's affected you and your game. I'm really excited with this new season. I think the changes sound fantastic, but it's really when we get it on the tabletop and start playing that we'll really find out. But until then, I'll keep you updated with any new changes as we get them. And yeah, can't wait to share that with you as we see this new season of 40k unfolding. But thanks so much for watching the video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope it was a good summary so you don't have to go through and read everything and watch that long 40-minute video. And I can't wait to read your comments too. So thanks again for watching. If you liked the video, please hit the like button, subscribe for more videos like this one, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Games. A big thanks to Tabletop Star for supporting the channel this month. Check out their website, the link's down below in the description. This is a great place to meet people in your area who like to play games as much as you do. So really awesome idea. And of course, a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for being there right from the beginning, helping me to keep going with these daily videos. If you'd like to join the Patreon supporters, that link's in the description there down below too. I'd love to see you there.